Hey guys. Part 20. This is what if Naruto took care of Sasuke who turned into a baby. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 50. Never Sleep, Never Die. Shigeru knew something was wrong the moment he got near his mansion. Everything was too quiet and still, as if nature was holding its breath, waiting for something awful to happen. The sky wasn't helping, dark and clouded. The clear blue sky in morning was long gone. Ever since he was a child, the Sonata leader somehow could sense when something bad was about to happen. The day his father died, he hadn't felt at ease the whole day at school. When he got home, he was told his father had died from a stroke. Or when Nia and Hattori first got sick, even when everybody thought it was just a cold, he knew it was worse than that. The last time it had happened was when he had received Rei's last letter, telling him to go meet her in a hospital in one of the smaller islands. Shortly after, she was dead too. When he entered his mansion's garden, Shigeru noticed the front door wide open, just like the ones in the fisherman district. "No," he whispered, taking his sword from his waist, ready to battle. He got into the house and saw the broken vases on the floor, the fallen chairs and tables. There had been a struggle. "Ho-ho!" he called, his voice echoing through the empty halls. He walked slowly and attentive to every sound, opening very door of the house. That's when he found Kiyomi. The old woman was lying on the floor of Rika's bedroom. She was as motionless and pale like the people he had found earlier in the afternoon. Like them, her chakra had been drained. "Ha-ho!" Shigeru screamed and ran to her side. He pulled her to his chest and shook her, yet Kiyomi didn't move a muscle. How could this have happened? He had left other samurai on their district. They should have been strong enough to fight any intruders and protect those who couldn't fight, and the children. The children. They had left the children in the school. "Rika!" Shigeru put his mother in Rika's bed and ran out of the room. His body tensed, and he stopped on his tracks when he felt the unmistakable tip of a blade on the back of his neck. "Where do you think you're going, Shigeru-sama?" A man's voice sneered. Before Shigeru could react, two more cloaked figures surrounded him, pointing strange crystal swords to his chest. "Are you the ones who are doing all this?" he asked, calm but dangerously. "Your mother put up quite a fight. She was fun to play with," one of them said. "Are you planning to do the same thing to me?" Shigeru asked. To his surprise, the three hooded men grinned, amused. "Unfortunately, no," another one answered. "We were ordered to pick you up, Shigeru-sama. There's someone who really wants to have a few words with you." "And who might this person be? Your leader, I presume?" "Not yet, but he will be soon." Shigeru blinked at this strange answer. What is that supposed to mean? The two men in front of him chuckled as the third one knocked him out with a blow on the back of his head. The wind was getting colder as the gray clouds covered the sun, and the islands were bathed in darkness. Naruto felt every muscle of his body tense as Sasuke, an adult Sasuke, came out of the woods and walked towards him, looking as deadly and ruthless as he had seen him 7 years ago. "Sasuke," Naruto whispered, still not believing his eyes. The Raven Man stopped. He was wearing a black hooded cloak, which he took off and it landed a few meters away. Beneath it, he was wearing a sleeveless dark blue shirt, open at the torso, and black pants with a purple rope as a belt. He was also wearing black wrist warmers. He seemed to be around Naruto's age. Uchiha Sasuke's age. "So, you figured it out who I was right away," Sasuke said, still grinning. "I guess I shouldn't be surprised. You did see me as an adult once, didn't you, father?" Naruto gaped, his long blonde hair wavering in the cold wind. This couldn't be real. He just couldn't believe it. It had to be some sort of trick, a genjutsu, a clone. But it wasn't. Naruto knew it wasn't, because he could sense Sasuke's chakra with his sage mode. Not only that. He knew Sasuke almost as well as he knew his own body. He knew this person wasn't a fake. However, when he opened his mouth, no sound came out. "What's the matter, cat? Got your tongue?" Sasuke asked, his eyes showing the first hints of anger. Or maybe, I'm just not worth of your time. The blonde ninja shuddered as if Sasuke had punched him. Those words were enough to wake him from his stupor. Sasuke, what happened to you? Humph. Isn't it obvious? Sasuke sneered. I got the powerful body I always deserved. Not only that. Unlike last time, now I got the adult mind to follow. It's amazing, he laughed again, a horrible and sad laugh. I know things I never learned. I can understand everything now. You can't imagine how great I feel. Who did this to you? Naruto asked, completely horrified by Sasuke's drastic change of personality. He wasn't his former teammate. He wasn't the Uchiha Sasuke he remembered, not even when he had lost his mind to hatred. And he wasn't his son either. Some guy whose spirit lives inside a sword. The Raven shrugged, uninterested by the source of his new body and power. All he cared were the results. He got me and the other kids at school while most of the samurai were away, just like he got the other kids from the other districts. Naruto's yellow eyes widened. What? You mean this guy was the one behind the kidnappings? Apparently he was. But I don't really give a damn about that. Sasuke stretched his arm and, as if by magic, a crystal sword appeared on his hand. Naruto instinctively tensed. He knew a battle stance when he saw one. But this couldn't be happening. He wasn't going to fight Sasuke. He couldn't. A loud scream from afar broke the silence, followed by the sound of something big and heavy collapsing. What about the other children? Naruto asked. Were they turned into adults like you? Yeah. But like I said, that doesn't matter. Of course it matters. He wouldn't give you all that power unless he wanted something in return. So what does he want from you? Sasuke's grin vanished, and he shot Naruto a look filled with annoyance and resentment. This didn't have anything to do with the other brats that guy had turned. This was his battle against Naruto. Yet that dumbass blonde kept changing the topic from them to something else. He wants your chakra, the Raven answered. Hatred, bitter and burning like acid, came in powerful waves as he spoke. He wants us to give him as much chakra as we can drain from the real adults from the islands. And believe me, that will be my pleasure. Naruto didn't even have time to blink when Sasuke attacked him with his crystal sword. His new speed was incredible. He barely had time to block it with a kunai. Even his strength was practically equal to his own. He couldn't push him. He's so strong, Naruto thought, dodging and blocking Sasuke's sword with his kunai as the Raven tried to stab him over and over. And he's dead serious too. He actually wants. Both men pushed each other and landed a few meters away. Naruto looked shocked while Sasuke was absolutely delighted with his newfound power. It was everything he had dreamed to be. He felt strong and confident. He was stronger than anyone in this world. Even stronger than the legendary Uzumaki Naruto. Wasting no time, the raven-haired man attacked Naruto, mixing his kenjutsu with taijutsu. Thanks to his Sharingan, everything was easier. He could see and anticipate all of Naruto's movements and block them on time. Naruto, on the other hand, was getting worried. If he didn't start fighting for real, with the intention of harming Sasuke, he would be most likely killed by the Raven. His new powers were amazing. He was practically as strong as he had been before the rebirth. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu! Naruto yelled, as hundreds of clones appeared and surrounded Sasuke, attacking him from all sides. The raven-haired young man simply smirked as he destroyed the clones one by one with his sword and skills. Naruto took the opportunity to create the Rasengan and jumped while Sasuke was distracted. The baby continued to cry, his helpless little body shaking with cold and fright. His lips were trembling, his fists pressed against his face as if to protect himself, his feet dangling in the air. His chest and belly rose and fell as if he was having trouble breathing. Naruto stretched his arms towards him and touched his sticky belly as if to make sure he was real. Sasuke? Naruto asked. The infant showed no signs of having heard him. His hands and feet were blue with cold. Naruto was afraid to pick him up. He didn't know how to do it. What if he hurts him? But a wail of anguish from the little boy forced him, almost instinctively, to put a hand under the child's head and another under his bottom, raising the baby in the air and cuddled him close to his chest. Rasengan! Naruto yelled, only a few meters from Sasuke. Papa? When I'm big, I want to be like you. Naruto froze. Had he heard him right? Huh? You want to be like me? Sasuke nodded with a huge smile that made Naruto open his eyes in amazement. Sasuke's smile was just like his. Why, Sasuke? 'Cause you're my papa and I'm your son. I want to be just like you. Naruto opened his eyes wide. You're the coolest, papa. The blue sphere of chakra dissipated. I can't hurt him. Sasuke looked around and tried to pierce Naruto. Fortunately, the Jinchuriki used one of his clones to pull him, and he avoided a fatal blow. Sasuke frowned with irritation. Naruto was now mixed with his clones. However, there was a way to quickly dispatch them all. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. The fireball was huge, as the raven expected. Its flames incinerated all the clones and some of the trees of the garden, leaving a crater on the ground. Naruto's speed allowed him to avoid the Katan and, as he jumped from a tree to the lake, he saw Sasuke's right Sharingan changing. He now had 2 Tomo seals on his right eye and 1 on his left. The Sharingan had matured and Sasuke felt it. So this is what happens when the Sharingan matures? The raven asked, as if to himself. No wonder you never wanted me to use it. You knew how powerful I could become, and you wanted to stop me. Damn it, Sasuke! That's not true! All I wanted was to protect you! Naruto yelled. Protect? Don't fuck with me! Sasuke yelled back. You can cut the act already. I've had it with your lies. Naruto's color drained from his face. Lies? What are you talking about? Sasuke stared hard at his face. His jaw muscles tensed. You know damn well what I'm talking about, dope. For 7 years you've been lying to me, Sasuke continued ruthless. You made me believe that we were a family and that I actually meant something you. Idiot as I was, I even thought we were closer than most parents and children. I thought we were best friends. I thought that you loved me. And all this time it was never real. Sasuke's infuriated eyes were like burning daggers in Naruto's heart. The blonde shoulders slumped, and his eyes widened with shock and sadness. How can you say that? Naruto asked, his face pained. It was real. Every minute of it. Liar! Sasuke screamed, attacking Naruto once more. Stop lying! The blonde was able to dodge and tried to kick Sasuke. However, his leg lost its strength, and he had to retreat before the raven stabbed him. He was also panting and all his muscles were starting to ache. What is happening? Naruto thought. I shouldn't be this tired already. We just started battling. Why is my chakra so low? The answer came through his sage mode. Naruto sensed his own chakra leaving his body and moving towards something behind Sasuke. There was a thing invisible on Sasuke's back and it was draining his chakra. Just like the other adults had been. Now Naruto understood how the changed children had done it. Sasuke noticed his fatigue and grinned. The being given to him by Nobunaga was doing its job flawlessly, taking Naruto's chakra and weakening him. Everything was going perfectly. He was finally getting Naruto back for all the pain and hurt, for all the lies and betrayal that he made him go through. And he loved it. Naruto's sage mode ended and his eyes returned to normal. It was getting harder to breathe now and his head was beginning to hurt, but he had still been capable of noticing that his stolen chakra was not just being taken by the invisible thing in Sasuke's back. His chakra and everybody else's, including the people in the death state, was being guided by the creatures on the children's backs to somewhere in the sea. An island where was the one responsible for all this. You seem a little tired, Naruto, Sasuke taunted with a conceited smirk, feeling much stronger and smarter than this pitiful man he had once idolized. What a shame. I expected more from the almighty savior of the shinobi world. I guess you're just another loser. Naruto couldn't help but notice that Sasuke was calling him by his first name, like they weren't related at all. The raven seemed so angry and egotistical, he seemed to hate him so much. And it hurt. It hurt because Naruto knew it was his fault. He was the one who made Sasuke miserable because he wasn't attentive like a parent should be. He had screwed up, like always. I bet you wish your precious rival was here to watch your back, like in the good old days. Sasuke spat, each word poisoned with envy. You should never have left him, or your team. Keeping me was a mistake if you wanted him all along. No! It was never a mistake, Sasuke, Naruto said. His head was spinning, but he still tried to make Sasuke understand. I never regretted keeping you. Sasuke frowned and glared at the blonde. I told you to stop with the lying. I'm sorry I made you sad when I told you those stories, Naruto went on, walking towards the mad raven man. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't know you were upset. It's too late for apologies. You should have realized how I felt. A real parent would have. The thorns around Naruto's heart got even tighter. At least I've finally opened my eyes, Sasuke yelled. It all comes down to the same thing. The one you care about is your best friend. I don't matter and I never did. You kept me out of pity or because you wanted to be the hero one more time, not because you loved me. It wasn't out of pity and I wasn't trying to be the hero. Why aren't you listening to me? Because I don't want to hear any more of your bullshit, Sasuke cried, clenching his pale fists. I don't want you to tell me that you love me, because I know that's a fucking lie. I will never measure up to your rival. You'd choose him over me in a heartbeat. No, you already have. I'm just the second choice. There is no choice, Naruto yelled. You got it all wrong, son. I'm not your son, Sasuke shouted, watching the blonde man quiver in distress. I was never your son. We were never a family. This whole thing was just a sham. If possible, Naruto paled even more. Don't say that. Why not? It's the truth. We're two people connected by Kenjutsu and that's it. Everything else was a charade. No, it wasn't. You can't believe that, Naruto pleaded, each word filled with grief. Not after everything we went through. I do believe it. You should be happy. I'm freeing you from your burden. You won't have to look after me ever again, the Raven answered, glad to be hurting Naruto as much as he had hurt him. And you know what? I don't want to be your son. You're a lousy father anyway. Even though Naruto's body ached all over, it didn't come even close to the pain of hearing those words. His mouth opened, but he couldn't speak. There was nothing he could say. Sasuke was right. I don't want this fucking fake family, Sasuke went on with disgust. I wish I hadn't chosen you. I'd be better off in some orphanage. Naruto lowered his gaze, his eyes brimming with tears of anguish. Still, Sasuke continued to torment him mercilessly, blinded by his own wrath and resentment. You're a horrible parent. Who wouldn't want to be your child? You're an eyesore and an embarrassment. I regret every single second I spent together with you. Wasting no more time, Sasuke grabbed his sword and jumped. The blonde felt dizzy, but he was still able to retreat. Nonetheless, he wasn't fast enough and Sasuke's crystal sword pierced the right side of his abdomen. Ugh! Naruto moaned as the pain made him bend over. He put his hands on the wound to try to stop the bleeding, and he realized something odd was happening. There were tiny violet crystals growing slowly around the cut, invading his wound. Before he could understand what was happening, Naruto felt two powerful hands grab him by his arms, crushing them against his body and preventing him from moving. His head was hurting almost as bad as his wound. He couldn't think straight anymore. All he knew was that he was feeling weaker by the second and that Sasuke was staring back at him with a victory smile on his lips. Am I dying? Naruto didn't know if he was talking or thinking. I feel like I'm dying. Sasuke, you don't even care. Were the last 7 years meaningless to you? Was I really that terrible as a parent? The being on Sasuke's back became visible. Its yellow eyes shone greedily as it absorbed more of Naruto's chakra and transmitted it to the main crystal on the children's island. Despite his faintness, Naruto had been able to notice that whoever was taking their chakra wouldn't do it eternally. It would have to stop once it got enough. However, some of the islanders would die if their chakra kept being drained. Is that all you got? Sasuke taunted, looking at the wounded man he had called father with no hint of remorse. I thought you'd be stronger. but you're nothing but a pathetic wimp. The creature's hands clenched Naruto harder, causing his ribs to break and puncture his lung. Don't let him control you, Naruto whispered, his face twisted with pain. When he coughed, blood came out. Control me? What the hell are you saying? That person, he didn't just give you power, he's using you, your rage against me. Sasuke glared at him and the hands lifted Naruto into the air. No one is using me. I'm the one using that guy's power, not the other way around. You have to fight him. Naruto continued. You have to break free from him, or else you'll lose yourself. Shut up. You think you can fool me with something like that? The creature started draining Naruto's chakra very quickly now. The blonde screamed in anguish and his limbs became completely numb. He was going to faint and soon, but not before he could do something. Don't you dare, Naruto! The giant nine-tailed fox groaned from Naruto's consciousness. I need to do this, Naruto answered. It's the only way. You'll end up like all the others. You will never wake up, and for what? That ungrateful, power-hungry, egocentric Uchiha brat? I'm sorry, Kurama. Suddenly, Naruto's body shone like a yellow fire as he entered in Kyuubi mode. The creature became ravenous and absorbed the chakra even quicker. What are you doing? Sasuke asked, looking surprised for the first time. You're giving it your chakra voluntarily? Are you really that stupid? Naruto's head was spinning and his vision blurred. He didn't know if it was because he was about to faint or because he was crying. Maybe it was both. When he looked at Sasuke's angry features, Naruto saw him as the son he had raised, then as his teammate and best friend. The images, the boys, past and present, were overlapping in his increasing confused mind. It's always like this. Isn't it, Sasuke? Naruto whispered with glassy eyes. He didn't even realize that he was talking aloud. No matter how many times I try, you never understand me. Sasuke blinked. What are you on about? All I wanted was for you to acknowledge me, Naruto continued, tears rolling down his cheeks. I wanted you to see that I was strong, so you'd respect me. The raven's eyes widened, confused. What was Naruto talking about? Was this some kind of trick? Why would he want Sasuke to acknowledge him? He was the strongest ninja in the world. He didn't need his respect when everyone else already did. What are you babbling, Yuzuritanki? You're not making any sense. Sasuke could only watch in confusion as the creature sucked most of Naruto's chakra and he returned to normal, losing the Kyuubi's chakra. All I ever wanted, Naruto whispered feebly, was to save my best friend. Sasuke's red eyes flashed, hot with fury and jealousy. Him again? You really can't think of anyone else but him, can you? The creature was practically full with Naruto's chakra. The blonde man was about to lose his consciousness. He couldn't even understand what Sasuke was saying. All he knew was that Sasuke was there yelling at him, and that he hated him. He didn't have to hear his words. Sasuke's eyes were crystal clear. I've had it, the raven screamed. It's time to end your pathetic little life. One day, you'll meet your beloved best friend in hell. The creature had virtually no more chakra to absorb, so Sasuke made it throw the motionless body of the blonde Jinchuriki into the ground like trash. Naruto barely felt anything. Sasuke summoned his crystal sword and walked towards Naruto with murder in his red eyes. He was about to strike the blonde down, when he saw something white at his feet, a piece of paper. He was going to ignore it, but he noticed what was written at the top, Team 7. It wasn't a paper, it was a photo. A photo of his team that Naruto carried around. Angrily, Sasuke grabbed the photo, ready to shred it into pieces before finishing Naruto off. His pale hands were about to rip it, when he saw the team photo. In a blink, the wrath in his eyes was replaced with shock and confusion. He grabbed the picture with both hands and stared at it attentively. 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, were in front of a white-haired, masked man who was holding the 2 boys by their heads. Both boys were glaring at each other. One of them was blonde and dressed in an ugly orange jumpsuit. He had blue eyes and whisker marks on his cheeks. The other one had black eyes and spiky raven hair, dressed with a high-collared blue shirt. Sasuke was staring back at his own face. Who? Who is this? The raven asked, suddenly feeling anxious. He's just like me. He looks just like me. How? The blonde boy, he was certain that it was a much younger Naruto, which meant that the other was his teammate and rival. No, it can't, Sasuke stammered. His hands were shaking as he turned the picture to read what was on its back. Team 7. Jonin Hatake Kakashi. Genin Sakura, Naruto, Sasuke. Sasuke. That was his name, Sasuke. Naruto's rival was also named Sasuke. He had his face, his hair, his eyes. The memory came from a deep place in his heart. It was vague because it had happened so long ago, but he could remember. The photo had triggered it. Papa? Yes? Why you called me Sasuke? Naruto turned his head slightly to stare at the child. Don't you like your name? I like it, but I want to know why you chose that name. Your name is a memento. Me? Memento? What's that? It's something that reminds us of someone special. Your name is a memento of a friend of mine. Sasuke blinked and lifted his head slightly. A friend? The child asked. Yeah, Naruto replied with a wistful smile. How is your friend like? Is he cool? Very cool. And I'm like him? The child asked, excited. Yes, very alike. In a few years you'll be as cool as he was. His name wasn't just a memento. He had kept his name. It was him. The preteen in the photo was his past self. This guy, your rival, it was me? Sasuke asked, lifting his red eyes to the fallen Naruto, who was barely awake. Naruto was awfully pale. His lips were turning blue, and he was breathing oddly. I wanted things to be different this time. I knew I couldn't do it. I knew I'd screw up. But I had to try, because you were always my best friend. I love you, why didn't you understand? Sasuke's Sharingan vanished, and he quivered at Naruto's words. He was the person I admired most. He was my idol, my inspiration. I wanted to talk to him. I wanted us to be friends. But it wasn't that simple, because he was so perfect in everything and I wasn't. That's why I turned him into my rival and I became convinced that I hated him. I couldn't believe when they said we were on the same team. That we were going to be teammates. The more time we spent together, the closer we became. It was fun to be with him. Without even noticing, we became friends. It is a very special bond. Drops of sweat were running through Sasuke's face as he gasped for air. His chest was aching and his eyes were wide with horror. His best friend Shikamaru said with a small chuckle. Naruto would do anything for that guy, even give up his dream of being Hokage to save him. Damn, he would give his life for him if he had the chance. Sasuke looked at his crystal sword, still stained with Naruto's blood. With a horrified gaze, he dropped it to ground, where it shattered into pieces. Every time Naruto talked about his rival, every moment he seemed so happy to remember his best friend. He had been talking about Sasuke all along. In his first life he had been Naruto's best friend. Then why you keep talking about him? Why can't you just forget him? Because I can't, Sasuke. Of course Naruto couldn't forget. He couldn't forget his best friend, because he was right there in front of him. I don't want you to tell me that you love me, because I know that's a fucking lie. I will never measure up to your rival. You'd choose him over me in a heartbeat. No, you already have. I'm just the second choice. There is no choice, Naruto yelled. You got it all wrong, son. There had been no choice. Naruto didn't have to choose between Sasuke and his rival. They were the same person. Naruto's amazing rival, his beloved best friend, the ninja he admired the most, whose bond was stronger than anyone else's, it was Sasuke. Naruto had been talking about him all this time. Sasuke had misunderstood everything. His knees were shaking and he placed a hand on his chest. The reality of what he had done was finally sinking in. What have I done? He whimpered very faintly. He deserved it. What does it matter that I was his best friend? The same voice he heard on the cave said, cold and ruthless. Sasuke grabbed his head with both hands. His heart pounded in his ears and his knees gave away. Stop it! He groaned in pain. He never told me the truth, probably because he liked being the stronger one now. He wanted to humiliate me by pretending to be my father. Sasuke tried to push the voice away, but he couldn't. That's when he realized the truth. It's not me. I'm not the one thinking. You're that guy. It was you all along. The voice was silenced, but its presence became stronger. It was trying to take over Sasuke's mind completely now, since manipulating him wasn't going to work anymore. Naruto had been right. The being on his back roared and his eyes were focused on Sasuke. Its purple aura surrounded the Raven Man, forcing him into submission. Almost blindly, Sasuke stretched his hand and felt the ground until his finger found what he was looking for. A piece of the shattered crystal sword. Get out of my head! Sasuke screamed, stabbing the creature right in its face. The evil being screeched in agony, its deformed hands waving in the air before exploding. Sasuke fell to the ground and gasped for air. His head was still hurting, but it seemed like a huge weight had been lifted from his mind. It was easier to think now, his head was clearer. Sasuke. Slowly, the Raven looked up and his lips quivered. Without his rage and hatred to blind him, he was horrified by the extension of Naruto's injuries. No, not Naruto. Two-chan? He whimpered, getting up and running towards the fallen man. Two-chan! Two-chan! Carefully not to hurt him even more, Sasuke hugged his father, pushing his head against his chest. It was easy since they were about the same height now. Naruto's blue eyes were blurred with pain and tears. His face was as white as a sheet, and there was blood running from his mouth, dripping to his chin and chest. Sasuke touched something warm and wet, and stared at his hand. It was blood from the wound he had inflicted on his dad's abdomen. Daddy! Sasuke moaned, holding his father closer to his chest. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Naruto could barely feel anything, but he tried to lift his head when something wet fell on his face. It was tears. Sasuke was crying. You're going to be alright, Two-chan, Sasuke said, his voice almost choked by his sobs. I'll get help. I'll take you a doctor and you'll be fine. I promise. I'll save you, I promise. Naruto could only hear bits and pieces of what Sasuke was saying. He didn't want Sasuke to cry. Why was he crying? Did he make him cry? He tried to move his hand to touch him, but he couldn't move it. He felt tired. He felt so tired. Don't cry, Sasuke, Naruto said feebly. I'm sorry. I wasn't a good dad. Sasuke's tearful eyes widened and he shook his head vigorously. No, that's not true. I wanted to be a good dad. I wanted you to be happy, Naruto continued with a sad smile. I know. Please don't talk. I'm going to get help, Sasuke whimpered. Naruto's eyes were closing. He couldn't be awake any longer. No! Daddy, don't close your eyes. Don't fall asleep. You'll never wake up again. Naruto just smiled again. I'm sorry I wasn't good enough. Despite Sasuke's desperate cries, Naruto closed his eyes as a single tear ran down his cheek and he fell into darkness. He was already unconscious when Sasuke held him close to his body and screamed for him to come back. Chapter 51 Fatherhood. Uzumaki Naruto was falling, that was all he knew. Everything around him was dark, like a night sky without stars. He didn't know where he was or how he got there, but somehow, that didn't matter. He knew he was going away from a very painful place. His heart was hurting. He just wanted the pain to stop. As he fell, he closed his eyes. It was the same whether he kept them open or not. He was too tired to fight the darkness. Two-chan! Two-chan, open your eyes! Sasuke screamed as he held Naruto's comatose body. Open your eyes! I'm begging you, please, just open your eyes. Naruto remained motionless no matter how hard Sasuke shook him or yelled. His skin was ghostly pale and cold like a corpse's. Like all the other victims of Nobunaga's curse, his heartbeat and breathing were so faint that he seemed dead. Sasuke pulled the blond man's head against his shoulder and hugged him tightly, as if trying to pass his heat into his body and take back what he had done and all the horrible things he said. Sasuke had injured, taunted, and said hateful things to Naruto. And still, before he lost consciousness, his dad was more concerned about him. Naruto was smiling and apologizing until the very end. "Please, let me do it all over again," the Raven moaned desperately. "Give me a chance to take that all back. I promise I won't hurt you. I promise. So please, just open your eyes, Papa. Don't leave me all alone." Sasuke knew that it was useless. No matter what he did, Naruto wasn't going to wake up. He was already in the sleep of death because Sasuke had drained his chakra and life force and given it to Nobunaga to pay for the power he had received. He had dumped his father like trash, for power. "I'm a monster," Sasuke thought, feeling his guilt and shame shred his heart into pieces. The Raven opened his watery eyes and saw the blood dripping from Naruto's wound to the ground. He needed to do something, and quick. Standing there and weep wasn't going to solve anything. His father wasn't going to come and make everything better this time. Sasuke was on his own. "It's going to be okay," Tuchan, Sasuke said, carefully placing the blond man on his back and walking to the mansion. "It's going to be okay." The Raven man kept repeating it like a mantra to help him believe it. He ran to their house and up the stairs until he got to Naruto's bedroom. After placing the unconscious man in his already unmade bed, Sasuke ran to their shared bathroom and brought back the medical kit. His adult mind seemed to already know what to do, although he had never learned how to take care of somebody wounded before. Cautiously, Sasuke cleaned all of Naruto's injuries and put bandages on them. He was astonished when he finished cleaning the cut on his abdomen. It was completely covered by small violet crystals, like his sword. The Raven tried to remove them, but gave up, fearing to rip off his dad's skin. Besides, the crystals were working like a bandage and preventing a hemorrhage. After moving his broken ribs and bandaging his torso, Sasuke covered Naruto with several blankets to prevent him from getting even colder. Nevertheless, nothing seemed to work and there was nothing more he could do to help him. With a whimper, Sasuke's knees gave away and he fell to the floor. He stared at his big hands and long fingers. The hands of a fully adult, strong and smart enough to live on his own and become an incredibly powerful shinobi. Those were the hands that had destroyed his family because he was nothing but a spiteful, power-hungry monster, too blind by his own hatred and selfishness to see the truth. He had always known. At some level, deep in his subconscious, Sasuke had always known that he and Naruto shared a very strong bond. He knew he had known Naruto before. But he had no idea they had been teammates, let alone best friends and rivals. Sasuke took the team photo from his pocket and stared at the rival, at himself again. He had hated that guy for so long. He thought that person was going to take Naruto from him, and his heart ached every time the blonde talked about him with such love in his voice. Now he understood. His dad was talking to him about his past self and their adventures together. He had been telling Sasuke about their friendship. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't know," Sasuke asked, thick tears blurring his vision and dropping on the photo. I thought you resented being with me. I thought you wanted to be with somebody else, and it hurts so much because I want to be the one you love the most." Naruto didn't answer, as expected. However, Sasuke hoped he could hear him somehow, and know how remorseful he felt. "It must have been so weird for you to take care of your rival and have to raise him like a normal baby," Sasuke went on, lowering his black eyes away from Naruto's unconscious body in shame. "I guess you missed him, the old me, huh? The one who was your idol and cool, not some snotty brat." There was something Sasuke couldn't understand. Why didn't Naruto tell him who he really was from the beginning? Why didn't he tell him everything so they could just start their friendship where they left off? Even if the Raven couldn't remember, Naruto could have told him about his life and Sasuke would be able to grow into the person Naruto remembered and loved. There was no need for the adoption. Anyone could have taken care of Sasuke, so why Naruto of all people? Now that Sasuke was also older, he realized how young Naruto had been at the time. Barely 17 years old. He had been a kid himself. Taking care of an infant, let alone adopt one, must have been a terrible burden. It must have been painful that I couldn't remember you as my teammate, Sasuke whispered. You didn't have to be my parent, if you didn't want to. Something that was under the blanket slipped and fell to the floor, startling the raven. After realizing that they were alone in the bedroom, Sasuke stood up and walked around the bed until he found a heavy book with a ridiculous drawing of a baby on its cover. Frowning, Sasuke looked at Naruto, wondering why he had such a book with him, and why was he reading it. But as he opened it, his eyes widened. They were photos. Dozens of photos of Sasuke as a baby in Mount Myaboku, in every position possible, sleeping, awake, eating, playing with his toys, playing with Gamachan, crawling in the living room or just staring at the camera. Then, there were photos of him with the frogs and, the majority of them, with Naruto. When Sasuke wasn't sleeping, they were both smiling. Naruto seemed so happy, hugging the baby that was his rival close to his chest. Why were you smiling? Sasuke asked, glancing at the sleeping blonde. Your best friend didn't remember you anymore. I was just a normal baby and I couldn't be your teammate again for at least 10 years or more. So why were you so happy? Why did you decide to keep me when it was so painful? The raven noticed that there was something else on the ground. It was something black, under the bed. A videotape? The raven thought as he grabbed the object. There was nothing written on it, and Sasuke didn't remember ever seeing the tape. Naruto had placed both the photo album and the videotape on his bed before he went out earlier. But why? Without thinking, Sasuke got up and opened another closet, revealing a full TV set and a video recorder, both covered with dust for not having been used for so long but still functional. The raven put the tape on the recorder, turned on the TV and waited until the first footage appeared. Gamatatsu. Be careful with that. Gamakichi groaned at the shaking camera. I'm being careful, Nichan Gamatatsu answered unseen. Don't you break that camera, Naruto would kill us. And stand still. You're shaking too much. I'm trying, but it's harder than it looks. Gamakichi sighed. Okay. Let's start this. Press the red button to start recording. I already did, Nichan. What? You're shooting already? I told you only to start when I said so. Now wait a minute, were you trying to film me while I was behind the leaves? No. Of course not. Gamatatsu stammered, not convincing at all. You freaking moron. Give me that camera. Gamakichi yelled, jumping towards his brother and shaking the image while they fought for the camera. Wait until the old man knows about this. You're so dead, you idiotic son of a bye. The image disappeared, replaced by snow and static electricity. Sasuke was about to turn off the TV when a recording reappeared and he saw a black-haired baby sitting on a colored blanket, surrounded by toys and holding Gamachan on his chubby hands. It was Sasuke, not even a year old. But that wasn't what shocked the adult raven. What made him gape in bafflement was what written on his dark blue shirt. Back off, I'm pooping? Sasuke exclaimed, blushing as the camera zoomed on the shirt. What the fuck is with that shirt? Hey Sasuke! Say hi to the camera. Gamakichi's voice was heard. The baby looked up from his toys and blinked innocently, probably wondering what the orange frog was doing. Come on, kid! You're gonna watch this when you're older, so do something funny for posterity. Say hi. Gama. Sasuke gurgled, shaking Gamachan happily on his lap. Yeah, that's a frog, alright. But can you say hi? Bye. No. Not bye. Say hi. Gamakichi moved closer to the baby. Come on, Sasuke. Do something. Sasuke dropped his stuffed frog and stretched his arms towards the camera. Hey. No. I didn't say to eat the camera. Bad baby. Let go. Ew, the child whimpered with his big onyx eyes brimming with tears, still trying to reach the camera with his tiny arms. Wah. No. Don't start crying now. Naruto. Naruto, get in here. What? After the sound of a few footsteps, the camera focused on a teen Naruto, dressed with a white shirt and orange pants. Sasuke blinked as the blonde entered the room. He looked so different from the man he was now. Back then, he actually looked like a kid. His voice was a lot higher, he had a round face and his arms were scrawny. And his hair, it was so short. Sasuke already knew that Naruto had his hair short when he was younger, mostly because of the family picture he kept in his bedside table. Still, he wasn't used to actually see him with that haircut. He wasn't prepared to see him look so young and childlike. The Naruto he knew had always been big, towering over Sasuke and always ready to protect him from harm. The Raven smiled at these comforting feelings, until he remembered that he probably shouldn't feel that way for his teammate. Somehow, that made his chest hurt a little. What do you want, Gamakichi? And what are doing with my camera? Naruto cried out in exasperation. That thing is rented. If you break it. I'm not. Don't worry about it, the frog answered, focusing the camera on the whimpering baby again. I was just filming Sasuke, but he keeps trying to grab the camera and now he's about to cry. Do something. Make him do something funny. Naruto sighed and grimaced. Sasuke is not a toy. I can't make him do anything he doesn't want to. Geez, the blonde teen kneeled in front of the baby and waved his hands. Sasuke. The moment Sasuke noticed Naruto, his whimpers stopped and he stared at the blonde in awe. A tear ran through his rosy cheek, but he didn't look upset anymore. Papa, the baby said clearly. Papa. Sure. Can't say hi, but he calls for you perfectly, Gamakichi mumbled. Sasuke was expecting Naruto to look troubled and awkward. Maybe even smile sadly at how low his best friend had fallen, and play along with the baby's need of a father figure. He wasn't ready to see Naruto open his arms and smile so tenderly at his baby self. Like, he really was his beloved child. Come here, Sasuke, Naruto said happily. You can do it. Come here. Sasuke smiled too and started crawling towards Naruto's waiting arms. The moment the baby reached the blonde's lap, he grabbed his white shirt and buried his tiny face on his belly, while Naruto rubbed his back. Papa! The child giggled, happy to be with his daddy. That's my boy! Naruto exclaimed, standing up and holding Sasuke in his arms, facing him. Papa is very proud of you. You liked me? Sasuke whispered in disbelief. How could you like me that way? The Raven couldn't understand. Sure, Naruto was the kind of person who would love his best friend regardless of the way he looked or acted. Naruto would still be his friend even if Sasuke had amnesia. But, did he actually accept the baby Sasuke had become? Did he love him as the baby? Did Naruto really start to think of Sasuke as more than his transformed best friend? Did Naruto love Sasuke as his child? The blonde teenager pressed the baby's head against his shoulder and started walking out of Sasuke's baby bedroom. The camera followed them into Fukasaku's living room, where Naruto sat at the small table with Sasuke still on his arms. Hey! I know what you can't shoot! The blonde boy cheerfully exclaimed, placing Sasuke on the floor. Bah! The child moaned, disappointed that Naruto had let him go. Ga! Yeah. Naruto smiled at the camera, stood up, walked to the opposite side of the small living room table and sat on the floor again. Sasuke, sitting on the floor, couldn't see Naruto anymore. His eyes widened in fright as he looked from side to side, looking for him. Papa? The baby got on all fours and crawled to each side of the table, yet he couldn't see his father and was starting to fuss. Papa. Naruto leaned over the table, slightly above Sasuke's head. I'm here. I'm still here, Sasuke. Sasuke looked up, his eyes showing both hope and confusion. Papa? I'm right here, Naruto repeated. Your Two-chan is here. I know you can find me. Naruto, that's mean. He can't see you and he can't go look for you, Gamakichi said, focusing the camera on the blonde. He's getting scared, he's going to cry. Naruto shook his head. He won't give up that easily. Watch. The camera was once more focused on Sasuke. The baby was still looking up, but his eyes couldn't see what was above the table. Suddenly, the raven-haired child stretched his right arm to the table, then his left. Frowning with the effort, Sasuke was able to slowly pull himself up, his small feet trembling from the effort. No way! He's standing! Gamakichi yelled, excited. He's actually standing. Naruto smiled kindly and looked at Sasuke. The moment the baby saw the blonde teenager, his eyes light up with genuine happiness, and he raised his arms in Naruto's direction. Papa! Fire! Papa! That's right, you found me, Naruto said, picking up the cheerful baby and staring at him with a grin. You're the most awesome baby in the whole wide world. How did you know he'd do that? Gamakichi asked. He started doing it last night and I knew he could do it now, the blonde answered as Sasuke buried his face in his shoulder, cooing softly. I guess you should know. You're his parent, after all. Naruto blinked, as if he wasn't used to that idea. Then, slowly but surely, he smiled tenderly at Sasuke. Yeah. I am. The baby looked up and raised his right hand towards Naruto's bright blonde hair, grabbing a few strands between his tiny fingers and stroking them. His eyes wide with wonder. Yo, Naruto? What's with all the paperwork on the table? Gamakichi asked, filming a pile of papers. Oh. Tsunade Bachan sent them today, Naruto answered, patting the baby's back as he continued playing with his blonde hair. There's Sasuke's official new documents, and his birth certificate. I need to sign them. Why you? Because he's going to have my surname, the blonde said, blushing. I can't believe this. After I sign this, he's going to be an Uzumaki and I'm gonna be like his real dad. Naruto grinned and blushed, cuddling Sasuke to his chest. Look at me. I'm a dad. The footage stopped abruptly. After a few seconds of snow and noise, something big and yellow covered the entire screen. Out of there, Gamakichi's voice said. Huh? You're sitting on the camera, idiot. Gamatatsu, get your ass out of there. Oh? Sorry, the younger toad said, as the image showed Gamakichi frowning and Gamatatsu joining him. Neither of the brothers realized that the camera was recording. I hope you didn't break it, the orange frog said. I didn't. It still looks good. Well, if Naruto comes yelling, you'll be the one in trouble. The two brothers jumped out the window and disappeared. However, the camera kept filming Fukasaku's living room at sunset for about 2 minutes. Then, the sound of a door was heard and Naruto reappeared on the footage and sat by the open window. 30 seconds later, he buried his face in his hands and wept. Huh? What happened? Sasuke asked the TV, restlessly. What's going on? For a few horrible minutes, only Naruto could be seen and heard on the footage. The young man was crying and sobbing but managed to calm himself down and cleaned his tears with the back of his hand. Naruto-chan. Fukasaku jumped towards the blonde teen and stared at him with a sad face. I can't do this, Ji-chan Sanin, Naruto said. I just can't. Don't say that. It was just an accident, the old frog reassured him. Sasuke-chan is going to be alright. Naruto shook his head. He fell from the sofa. He hit his head and he was bleeding. I wasn't watching him as I should. All I did was turn my back for 1 second and he... It's just a bump and a small cut. He's fine now. All he needed was a band-aid. That's not the point. Naruto cried out, looking terribly shaken and guilty. I screwed up. This wasn't the first time I screwed up either. Sasuke almost died when that house collapsed a month ago because I left him all alone. Naruto-chan, you're being too hard on yourself, Fukasaku said softly. I keep making these stupid mistakes, Naruto went on, tears falling down his face. I can't look after him. Look at me. What was I thinking? I'm not a real father. I have no clue of what I'm doing. The old frog shook his head. You're still learning and you're doing your best. That's all that matters. No, it's not. Sasuke needs a real family. He needs a real father that can look out for him. Naruto lowered his head. His blue eyes reflected every bit of his grief. I'm not good enough. I can't be his too-chan. So you want to give him up? Is that what you're saying? Fukasaku asked angrily. No. That's not it. Naruto stood up, his voice resolute. I don't want to give him up. You don't want to be his father because it's too hard? You don't love him enough? No. That's not true. I love him. I love Sasuke. I love him, like a son. He was my teammate and my friend, and I loved him before like a brother, but now I look at him, and I see my son. The blonde placed a hand on his chest. I love my son. I love him so much. Then why are you saying you can't raise him? Naruto sat down again and looked at the setting sun. Because I'm a lousy dad. I keep messing up and making Sasuke suffer. I don't want him to suffer. I want him to be happy. If I raise him, he's going to grow up miserable. The teenager lowered his eyes. He's going to hate me. He won't hate you, Naruto-chan. How can he when you love him so much? He'll know, even when things are really bad, that you love him and you did your best for him. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to follow your heart. But I want Sasuke to grow up happy. He needs a good father, Naruto said. I don't know how to be a father. Fukasaku stared at the blonde for a few seconds. Naruto-chan, why are you so scared? What are you afraid of? Naruto lowered his head and stared at his tanned hands, his eyes still brimming with tears. I'm afraid Sasuke will resent me someday because I decided to raise him myself, Naruto said softly, looking very lonely. I'm scared that, one day, he is going to regret having chosen me to be his parent once he realizes that I don't know anything. I mean, look at him. He was the class genius, and he was perfect at all he did. While the blonde boy shook his head. I don't want him to end up hating me for ruining his life because I wasn't good enough. I'm afraid he'll tell me that he doesn't want me to be his father. Sasuke felt his hands trembling alongside his legs. A stream of tears was running down his cheeks. Naruto-chan. Fukasaku sighed. You already are his father, and there's nothing that can change that. Sure, you'll make mistakes and you'll learn from them. It's time for you to grow. Meanwhile, you already forged a new bond with Sasuke-chan. A bond between a parent and his child, and, knowing you, I'm sure it will only grow stronger. Naruto looked at the old Sannin, confusion apparent in his wide blue eyes. Why do you say that? You are torn because you want your son to have the best family, and you're worried you won't be enough. The old frog smiled broadly. That is fatherhood. Naruto didn't say anything, and for the following seconds he just stared at the old frog, looking confused and surprised by his words. The silence was finally interrupted by someone screaming his heart out, the sound getting closer and closer. There you are, Shima said, holding a crying, ear-splitting Sasuke with her long tongue. I've been looking for you all over the house. He woke a while ago, and I can't calm him down. Naruto looked at Sasuke but didn't dare to move from where he was. On the other hand, Fukasaku decided to question his wife about the child. Are you sure Sasuke-chan isn't just wet? Of course I'm sure. I've checked his diaper already and I don't think he's hungry. I don't know how to make him stop. I've tried everything. I don't know what he wants. The baby kept weeping and trying to break free from Shima's grasp. Once he opened his eyes and spotted Naruto's unmistakable blonde hair, the baby raised his arms in his direction for him to pick him up. Oh? I guess we found out what he wants, Fukasaku said with a grin. Right, Naruto-chan? Slowly, Naruto rose from his chair and walked towards Sasuke. The moment he became reachable, the raven baby almost jumped from Shima's tongue to Naruto's chest, placing his arms firmly around his neck and moaned softly against his shoulder. Little by little, Sasuke stopped weeping and started cooing. Once again, he began playing with Naruto's bright blonde hair while the latter finally smiled tenderly and leaned his face against the baby's head. I think we should leave these two alone, Ka-chan, Fukasaku said. I agree, Shima answered. Besides, I need to make dinner. See you later, Naruto-chan. After both frogs left the room, Naruto sat on the floor with his back to the wall. With his left hand, the blonde cuddled the baby to his chest, and with his right, he rubbed his little back. Then, he moved Sasuke's head so he could look at his face. On the baby's forehead, there was a small band-aid, which Naruto gently rubbed. Does it still hurt? Were you crying because it hurt? Yeah. Sasuke gurgled in response, smiling while he touched Naruto's cheeks with his small fingers. When a single tear ran down the blonde's face, the child blinked, as if confused. He quickly wiped the tear with his fingers before putting his hand in his mouth, drinking Naruto's sorrow. I'm sorry, Sasuke. Daddy is sorry you fell from the couch and got hurt, Naruto said, still smiling lovingly at the baby boy. You know, I'm still learning how to do this. I'm learning so I can be a good daddy, but I screw up sometimes, like today, and you got hurt. Sasuke raised both his hands and cleaned Naruto's remaining tears. Then, seeing his father smiling, the baby giggled and his fingers flew all over his face, trying to know every detail of Naruto's face. I'll try harder. Promise, Naruto continued. I'll grow up into a cool adult so you can be proud of your Tuchan, alright? You'll see, team. Our bond is going to become even stronger than before. Sasuke giggled again and grabbed his father's fringe, playing with it. After a while, the child got tired and buried his face on Naruto's shoulder, grabbing the blonde's hand when the latter offered it. Thank you for picking me as your father, Naruto said, almost imperceptibly before leaving the room with his child. Sasuke turned off the TV and the video recorder. Then, he stood up and went once more to Naruto's side. Fearfully, Sasuke grabbed the blonde's hand. It was ice cold, no matter how much he rubbed it. This is wrong. His hands are always warm, the raven thought, feeling his throat tight and his eyes burn. Still, Naruto's hands were the same as always. They were soft and comforting. The hands Sasuke had held thousands of times when they were traveling, when he was scared or cold. Those were the hands that had stroked his hair and his back, wiped his tears when he had cried, and picked him up when Sasuke wanted to climb onto his lap. They were hands of a father. His father. Sasuke wanted Naruto to think of him as his best friend. He wanted them to be teammates once the Raven was old enough to go on missions. He wanted them to fight side by side. But he didn't want them to stop being a family. He didn't want them to stop being parent and child. He couldn't. Sasuke lifted his eyes and stared at Naruto's face. He saw his father. Above everything else, Naruto was his father, and Sasuke couldn't think of him as just a teammate. Dad? I'm the one who should thank you, Sasuke said, smiling through his tears. You're a great father, the best one. I'm so glad you decided to keep me. Like when he was an infant, Sasuke grabbed a lock of Naruto's hair and played with it. He had always loved his daddy's bright blonde hair. Right now, I feel like shit. I'm the one who screwed up this time, Tuchan. I was jealous and greedy and I let that guy control me, and now, you. With a quick movement, Sasuke wiped his tears. I said horrible things back there, but I didn't mean them. Not a word. He had placed Naruto's forehead protector on his bedside table while he was cleaning his face. Gently, the Raven picked it up. He knew he had no right to use it. He wasn't a real shinobi yet, but he wanted to bring a bit of his father's courage with him. So he tied the Hittite in his belt. He was on his own now. Everyone else was either in a coma or being controlled on these islands. Sasuke was the only one who could do something about it. You can rest now, Tuchan. It's time I set things right, the Raven said, his eyes shining with resolution. I will save you this time. I'm going to save our family and everything will go back to the way it was. I promise. Afraid to lose his courage if he stared at Naruto one last time, Sasuke left the bedroom and ran down the stairs. He got into the kitchen with his mind straight on getting the spare supplies that they kept on the cupboard. He was so focused on what scrolls he should bring that he almost missed the beautiful cloth on the table. Blinking, the Raven man approached the table and realized that something long was inside the cloth, so he unwrapped it. Is this a sword? Sasuke whispered in disbelief as he held the Chikuto on his hands. As he checked the shiny blade and waved the sword, he couldn't help but feel that it fitted perfectly in his hands. Like it had been made for him. Looking at the table, Sasuke noticed a white envelope. He put down the Chikuto as he recognized his father's handwriting. To Sasuke. Surprised that Naruto had left him a brand new sword and a letter, the raven put the blade down and opened the envelope immediately. I don't know if you're going to read this before we get a chance to talk. Anyway, if we haven't talked, please read this letter until the end. Okay, son? Did you see the sword on the table? That's for you. That's your birthday present. I'm sorry I couldn't give it to you during the party, but I really couldn't. You see, that sword was your old sword, during your first life. It was in a pretty bad shape, so I had to find a special swordsmith to fix it. That's why I came home so late lately and didn't tell you about it. I wanted it to be a surprise. I'm sure you're gonna graduate from your Kenjutsu exam, so I want you to have your sword back. Then you can take it to the temple and name it whatever is on your heart. I didn't forget your birthday, son. I never forget you. Just like don't want to go back to the village and leave you. My rival, well, it's complicated to explain. You were right when you said that I miss him and I can't forget him, but there's a reason for that. We need to talk and I'm sure you'll understand. I'm sorry that I made you sad. I'm clumsy and not very perceptive, that's why I don't see what's right in front of me. However, remember this, there's no one in this world that I love more than you. Don't ever doubt it. Please forgive your silly Tuchan. Naruto. Sasuke closed the letter and put it in his pants pocket. You are silly, Uzuratanki. You make a fool out of yourself, you don't act your age and sometimes you seem dumber than a hammer, always smiling like an idiot. But... The raven-haired man picked up his chikuto and walked towards the front door. On the rope he used as a belt, Naruto's Hittite waved. I am my father's child, Sasuke went on. I shall protect the bond that he fought so hard to strengthen with this sword. The raven stared hard at the blade. When the sky reflected on the metal surface, Sasuke's black eyes momentarily looked deep blue. This sword, its name is Kizuna. The young man looked at the mansion. Wait for me, Tuchan. With natural agility, Uzumaki Sasuke placed the chikuto on the back of his belt and jumped towards the marina. Shigeru felt his head throbbing when he was tossed into the hard ground of a cave. To his surprise, someone cut the rope on his wrists and feet. Leave us, a man's voice said. This is my battle. All the other cloaked figures disappeared from the cave. Shigeru was all alone with this unknown man and this strange purple crystal. Who are you? He demanded to know, standing up and staring at the cloaked man. What do you want? The man only smirked before answering. What I've been waiting all my life, a chance to finally kill you. What are you talking about? I don't even know you. You're right, the man said. You don't know me. You never cared to know me because you always wished I never existed in the first place. Shigeru blinked, completely taken aback. When the stranger finally took his hood and revealed his long silver hair and ice-cold eyes, the Sonata leader gaped in distress. He was staring at his own son. That's it for part 20. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.